We're back.
Carter, the Power Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
Blake, LSU set another record tonight with 5 former athletes at the Met Gala.
What the hell is a Met Gala?
I don't know. I know it's I think it's a fundraiser of some sort. But Joe Burrow.
I did see that Flaugier was there.
Flaugier, Angel, Sha'Carri, Joe, and Justin Jefferson. Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson. And some capital J journalism today.
All right.
You're too scared to talk about it. Yeah,
I'm not scared. I just don't know if I want to give a platform to something that's constantly been an issue.
You're afraid he's going to body bag you. That's the problem.
Look at you coming out here being petty as shit. All right, here's the truth. So anybody that missed it, AJ Haulcy was reported today that he was the highest paid player on your roster and from the transfers. He's not remotely close.
No. And basically, so I did a Haulcy film.
You petty. You so petty.
Look, I like I said, I'm not as inside baseball as you are with the reporting, but even I knew that. A lot of people knew that wasn't the case here. Mm-hmm. And I think what happened is you kind of get like a half truth out there. There was a Miami message board rumors, and then you just kind of form a report. And my thing is this isn't the first time that this has happened.
Yes.
That you're wrong.
Who you telling? With the Caden Durham thing, who you telling?
Well, even that aside, okay.
Al Davis, who you telling?
If I were to, because I have a journalism degree, I am not a journalist though. I'm a personality, if you will, online personality. Mm-hmm. Basically what you are. Okay. You do more source reporting than I do, and I have a degree in it. I do some, but not as much as you do. But when he got wrong that Lincoln Riley was going to be the next head coach at LSU. Okay.
I remember. That
was bad enough. But we're here now, and it keeps happening. And I know you get a lot of messages about it. I get my Discord was just popping as far as this was concerned today, because we've done so much Haulcy content. You've done so much Haulcy content, and that was just never the case. It was just never, ever, ever the case.
Yes.
And with any coaching search, okay, a local reporter is never going to get the coaching search hire. It's just never, ever, ever going to happen.
It's a very unique situation. The only one I've ever seen do it was Lucci at A&M for Elko.
Okay, that is the plugged in, like,
right. But name another.
He is Texas A&M media, basically, and there's other great reporters that cover that team. But, and I don't even think he would say he's a reporter. I don't think he would claim.
No,
that.
But a story like that, he wants to put his foot down and say it's mine, right? Like he's the only one though. So to your point,
yes. So and that's nothing against. I mean, I think he would say the same thing here. He's a different type of personality, if you will. I just always want people to be skeptical of everything that you read, because the same people break 90% of the stories that most people care about.
Yes.
Okay. If it was true that AJ Haulcy was the highest paid LSU transfer, I mean, we're 4 or 5 years into this thing, it would have been Pete Natkos that reported it. It would have been someone that's had the big NIL stories. Okay. Someone that would really want that to be out there. Okay. Because I don't think AJ would want that out there. I don't think LSU would want that out there. And that's why you had what you had today. Mm-hmm. So, I was shocked. I was like, wait, that's not what I was led to believe. But, this isn't shade. this isn't even shade. I'm not even doing like I've it kind of has been, but it's not really. It's just one of those things where like, I have a degree in this. I'm not saying I'm Ross Dellinger or freaking Grantland Rice here, but I'm just saying I know how a lot of this stuff works. It's not going to come from that person. It's just not. Like it rarely, if ever, is. Maybe the assistant analyst to the wide receiver coach's next door neighbor. You might get that story. Okay, but I rest my case.
Here's the only thing that I'm going to say here in reference to this. I was going to just briefly bring it up. I agree with everything that you said.
Yeah.
Okay. In reference to this, I would just say this. The problem, and by the way, for me, because I got tagged into this, okay, like because the coach he was going after for whatever reasons that aren't true, by the way, I got tagged and thrown into this, and I've been thrown into a lot of these unbeknownst to me. I will tell you where I was, okay, and we'll have the business owner that I was with bring this up. I was in a client meeting, a new client meeting that we're bringing onto the show today, okay, in Baton Rouge with my phone on silent. And I turned my phone on. I got 46 text messages, okay. I have a couple of missed calls, and everybody's freaking out behind this. And I had no idea what was going on. None. Zero. No clue. Quite frankly, didn't give a fuck. Okay? My part was I'm trying to run a fucking business. So then I get put into this, okay? Which has, unbeknownst to me, I don't know anything at this exact moment. Here's what I tell you. You start putting reports out there that this kid's making more money than other players on that roster. What do you think? What do you think the first thing that's going to happen is? What do you?
People go crazy.
People will get pissed. You mean that this kid is more valuable than me? You think that this dude is more valuable than me? It will happen. Now, I do think that the justification that came out today was, well, that's the only reason why this was reported or the situation happened on how, the interaction happened between the reporter and a coach that's on staff, okay? And even more that's on a coach that's on staff. The problem that I have with this is simple, okay, are you trying to tell me that they don't know?
Yeah. Exactly.
And by the way, it did not happen. And this has got to come to an end. We all get shit wrong all the time. Not like this. Not like this. That is just that's where I stand.
Rice to tell me to plead the fifth, so I take everything back. But I've been asked about it a good bit, and I know you've been asked probably more than I.
I didn't even bring it up until right now.
Well, yeah, I do think it's important because it's just going to keep happening. I
mean, I think the fan base has got to. The problem is they want to know if it's true.
That's my point.
Right.
Okay.
And what creates chaos is that you got to answer every single person that's asking you this. And you get tired of fucking answering the same question over and over and over and over and over and over again. No, it's not true. The kid came out. Here's the truth. The kid came out wanting X. The truth is no kid inside of the portal, no one, there wasn't one this spring that got what they wanted. That is a fact. Nobody.
Yeah.
Hey, Nico Iamaleava get the $4 million he was asking?
No.
Okay. And you think that this happened here? No. If this were Caleb Downs, yes, I could see that being the understanding. That kid's worth $1 million.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And
go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. To your point, the bottom line is Haulcy's going to be pretty solid.
Let's get there. Yeah. What do you think? So AJ Haulcy commits. Your thoughts on the addition?
Blake, he's a very good player. I think your most likely scenario is you're going to get a better version of a Craig Lawson, if you will. And I think a best case scenario is he is an all SEC player. Blake, he's a 3-year starter. So he's got a lot of starter snaps. His third ever game was in Tiger Stadium playing for New Mexico. Made tackles.
Ran down Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, knocked him out for the series. He's a physical player. And he is a guy that's very creative with the football in his hands. He'll give you a few broken tackles after the catch. An overall reliable tackler, a guy that is very physical. You look at some of the teams he played against, went up against Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, made a few good plays in that game versus Iowa State, takes on blockers, not afraid to blow up screens, not afraid to be aggressive and be bold. Once he takes an angle, he's going to go down there and
he's going down there with bad intentions.
Right. And, the big thing for me, and something that, I've talked about quite a bit, the thing that really hurt the LSU defense, last week we talked about rush yards before contact. Where it got really bad, though, is even though running backs did have really clean run-throughs and quarterbacks as well, your safety still has to find a way to make the tackle, okay? And Haulcy overall was good at that. Now, he would miss them on occasion and give up a few 40, 50-yarders, but for the most part, he was really good at that, and that's what LSU really needs. You talked about it a minute ago with the long touchdown runs that Caden Durham was having in practice, one of which, was released by LSU media, and there was a missed tackle on that. There was an opportunity to bring him down. Once again, Caden Durham's faster than 90%, 95% of the ball carriers you'll play next year. But Haulcy will more than likely make that play for you next year. So, Blake, he is a very good player. Is he, like you said, a Caleb Downs level transfer? No, nobody is. Is he like Andrew Makuba, who we talked about quite a bit on this channel, who we both adore, played at Texas?
Yeah,
probably not that. He's probably not that good either, but he's really good. And Craig Lawson would have been by far the best LSU safety on last year's team and the year before. Craig Lawson, for anyone that knows, he's a former 5-star recruit, played in early 2010, 2011s. He was a very good player, and that's what LSU needs at this point. So I think
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go on. You go on.
Well, I'll just add, is AJ Haulcy the best safety in LSU's room right now?
Yes. I don't even need to think about that at this point. And I think that is not a bad thing. I do think that's a good thing because safety play oftentimes comes down to who you're next to at safety. Blake, you have a relationship with Brandon Taylor. Brandon Taylor wouldn't have been as good with Eric Reed and vice versa because those two knew each other, were good football players, right?
Right.
One was like a truly otherworldly longtime NFL player, and the other was Brandon Taylor, who actually led that defensive tackles that season. And then you go to a few years ago, John Battle. I've gotten to talk to John Battle over the phone, what it was like playing next to Jamal Adams. He said that, the defensive players appreciated that he was always reliable and that Jamal Adams was able to fly around and go make plays because Jamal trusted that John Battle would clean everything up and do his role, right? So having a guy that's had success and actually played a really solid full year with good PFF grades and playing a lot of good offensive players, having that one player will make whoever LSU rolls with at the other true safety position better just by having one solid piece. So part of the problem last year, Blake, wasn't just that Sage Ryan wasn't great. It's that both safeties at the same time weren't
very
good.
bad.
So that would make
and Jordan Gilbert was bad.
There were some games he was good, and then there was other games where it just was tough, and that would just make matters way worse. So I think Haulcy coming in is going to make someone like Deshaun Spears better, or whoever else will be the other safety. So I think he raises the floor of the LSU defense by a lot.
When I see AJ Haulcy, I see a strong safety. I don't see a guy that can play free for you like he did in moments last year versus for Houston. Do you agree with that? I know he's got some crazy ball skills, but he is just not a free safety in this league. He is a strong without a doubt. And so when I ask you that question, everybody's asked me about Cooley, Tamarcus Cooley. I don't think it affects what Tamarcus does. I fully think it affects what Javian Toviano does.
Yes, I agree with that. And honestly, Blake, I do think he can play free safety. It just depends on what he's being instructed to do.
He's not covering the deep middle third. You cannot put him in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Blake, I went in when I sat down and watched him. I thought I was not going to like him as much as I was going.
Why is that?
Just because it's the Big 12, and they have that long time reputation of whatever, and a lot of his rough games I felt came at the end of the season.
He was kind of checked out.
Yeah, and then the whole team was just kind of, the only game I felt last year that I thought was just not great was BYU. That was the final game of the season. They were 4-7. BYU was having a magical year, and he just had a tough outing. The PFF grades backed that up. He missed a huge tackle in that game. That would have changed a good chunk of the outcome, in my opinion. It was a rough outing versus Arizona as well on the road. But other than that, Blake, I thought it was really solid. I really enjoyed watching him. Now, is that a guarantee it's going to translate over? No, it's not a guarantee. But there are no guarantees at the safety position right now for LSU, and he is the closest thing to that in that room. So, like I said, I think just having one safety who I know is going to, at the very least, be solid is going to make this room so much better.
Do you think that this could be a final puzzle piece to a defense that can crack the top 30?
Yeah, I do. I really do. Because the only position that was just, to me, glaringly, oh my goodness, what are you going to do, was that position. And Blake, we've seen a major shift in sports. I've seen it in football. I've seen it in the NBA, honestly, is that athletes and teams are just so much smarter now that sports has become a weak link mentality, right? Mm-hmm. It used to be that stars can go out there and win you a lot of games, right? Mm-hmm. USC wasn't strong at every single position. They had Reggie Bush. Didn't matter. Football, to me, is a weak link sport, right? Could you have an absolutely positively phenomenal Cam Newton, once-in-a-generation player that can make an overall mediocre Auburn team win the Natty? Sure, you can have that, right? But it's not really happened since then, okay? Football, you've got to have a less amount of weak links, and I look at weak links as a position group. Like, I was very concerned about the safety position. And I'm not saying Haulcy is the next coming of freaking Laron Landry or someone like that. It's just one extra guy that is added to a very, cloudy situation that makes it feel a little more comforting that you might have an answer there. And like I said, if one guy is good, it makes the life easier. So it makes the other safety's life so much easier if one or the other guy is actually a solid player. So it really did move the needle. I rarely feel that way about any transfer, but it really did make me feel a lot better about this season.
It makes me feel better about the season too, in this sense. I said this last week, but you know this better than most. Come beginning of May, I start really digging back into football. It's always how I have been. Yep. Somebody taught me how to clip videos this week, and so now I don't have to come in here and watch stuff. I can sit in my recliner and do it. I think that you could make the argument for these couple of things in the games that I've already went back and rewatched. I don't know if you shut out South Carolina, but if you have better safety play and anybody that can remotely tackle at linebacker and at safety, that game does not get out of hand like that. I think the same thing can be said in reference to Ole Miss. a couple of their big runs is because, quite frankly, you had safety play that was scared to make plays. And I mean that. They were scared to make some plays when it came to going down here and making tackles on anybody. And then they made bad angles. Remember the Ulysses Bentley run, the 50-yard run? How did that happen? Because Major Burns made a wrong decision and took a wrong angle, right? Like multiple ones of that. I did think that Major Burns made a great play on Trey Harris. Trey Harris just made a better play on him. The problem that I have here is I don't know if safety was I do think safety was probably the worst. I don't know if the interior of that defensive line is ready, though. I don't. But I would say this, the last time that you went out and got 3 experienced DBs, and I even throw Jakeem Jackson into that some, but you go out and get Mansour Delane, you go out and – I mean, look, Mekhi Garner, Joe Fouché, and Jared Bernard-Converse, 3 guys that one played in the Big 12, okay, he started. One guy played in the Sun Belt. He started. And then the guy that was in the SEC, he was a rotational player. We've seen DBs from the Big 12 that have that much experience make massive plays for you. Carter, all I needed to see was him run down Jaden. It was it. It was the first thing that I needed to see. Because as soon as that happened, brother, what are we talking about here? Right? Like, what are we literally talking – as a freshman, he had 10 tackles in that game. Now, that offense sucked, if you remember. But I do think that defensive tackle, I'm still a little bit worried if they can be consistent enough there. In reference to safety, you need a free safety that can ball. Is that Deshaun Spears? I don't know. But I feel like you're much better at strong safety now, and a guy that I think is versatile enough to play star, if I'm being honest. If shit starts not working out with Perk, that kid can play star for you. He is versatile in everything that he does. But here's the thing that I love more than anything. What I loved more than anything in watching AJ Haulcy was there was a tackle against Jack Besh, okay, this past year. It's actually the play before this one. It's our thumbnail for tonight for anyone listening on the audio. This is the pick. The play before that, he locks down Jack Besh. He locked him down. I mean, in the slot, he locks him down. Carter, you ain't had nobody that has that tenacity. You haven't had anybody in that room that will go down there and, excuse my French, will lay a motherfucker out. That is the truth. The mentality has not been. By the way, the time before that about Besh goes over the middle and he comes downhill. And while he's hitting Besh, on the way down, he's giving him some forearm action, massive pause, but he's giving him forearm action. He's hitting him in his throat. I want a motherfucker. That's what I want. We talk about we've had poodles. You damn right you had. You damn right you've had. It's time to go out there and knock somebody's chin strap right off their chin. That's what I'm not saying that he can bring that every play. The whiff that you're talking about against Arizona, Carter, he's trying to light the kid up and he misses. They were going to lose that game anyway. Well, I think they wound up winning it, but I thought they would lose it anyway. Regardless, you needed him, and you needed him bad. Yeah. When you look at this team, go ahead.
Well, but before I go, I want to shout out, I always say in the chat, I need some supers. I didn't do it tonight. Our girl Paris in
yes.
ATL. Yes. I got to show some love. Sorry. Even though before you answer this, though, there is a problem. Okay. She's a Duke basketball fan.
Yikes.
God, Paris. Please.
I'm a Matt McMahon basketball fan.
I am too. She says, do you trust Joe Sloan with his offensive play calling?
Yes, a P. Scott with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, P. Scott, for that. You answer it.
No. I don't, but I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic. Because
I don't understand the run game sequences. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's that. And I mean, it's so hard to field an amazing offense when you lose that many snaps on your offensive line. I mean, that now is just by far the biggest question mark on this team, especially when you're going on the road and playing a defensive line with 2 consensus top 10 players on Nate Tice's NFL Big Bowl.
Oh. Dude, Caleb Banks is a dog now. Y'all gonna go ahead and play around. You go right on ahead. Tyreek Sapp is a dog. You got a problem in week 3. I'm gonna tell you right now, on Ruffino and Joe show, we did a deep dive on Florida. We got a dogfight on our hands. I don't give 2 shits what their schedule looks like. If they got a loss coming into here, you're in for a dogfight. Carter, we don't have the starting 5 offensive line right now. And Carter, I said this 2.5 months ago on Ruffino and Joe show. Okay, I was throwing out the Caleb Banks stuff way before they started projecting him in the top 5. Way before. The videos are there. All right, y'all go ahead and play around. Go ahead and play around and find out what's going to happen to you.
Right. So it's something I think about quite a bit. You know, your play caller is so important, especially now that everybody's got freaking snipers as play callers. I mean, the play calling ability, like, Bobby Petrino is a mastermind. I don't know if he's top 3 or 4 now in the SEC. I mean,
Kirby Moore might be not in the top 5 anymore after what happened last season, but he's still a sniper.
Yeah. I mean, like, the offense, it's in, and I'm not exaggerating. It's kind of like you mentioned Matt McMahon a minute ago, how good the basketball coaches are. I mean, everybody is so freaking good offensively now. And, you know, I'm cheering for Sloan. I like Sloan personally. I like how hard he works on the recruiting trail. I mean, he really does work.
He's always working his ass off. Yep.
I mean, and I want it to work. Louisiana native, young guy, all those different things. I mean, he freaking loves what he does. He works his ass off. It's this conference, and it's hard. Now, the thing is, you know, I've had conversations with Nuts, a pretty prominent national media member, reach out to me about my thoughts on Nuts today. Someone I've not talked to in a while. I mean, and we talk about him ad nauseam. We talk about him every week, so we won't go into it. But, you know, let's just say Nuts doesn't run a whole lot next year when we know he needs to. If the deep ball accuracy gets better, you can work around that and still make the playoff. So if those things get cleaned up, it'll make your play calling a lot easier if your deep ball accuracy gets better. So we'll see if it works out.
All right. Let me just say this. For me, I just quite simply do not understand the run game sequencing. I do not get it. I don't understand what they're trying to do. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. Carter, there are multiple times in an A&M game, they're running on the opposite side of the tight end. They're running on the wide side of the field with the running back on the wide side of the quarterback, and they're trying to run where 3 guys are blocking 4. And we're wondering why the run game's not working. Like, I mean, I thank God that somebody showed me how to pull up the clip, because I will start clipping this shit. We are running into the teeth of a defense where we got 3 guys to block with 4 dudes in the box, and there's no way to block that. You're putting the tight end on the wrong side of the formation. You're not giving Caden Durham or Josh Williams any hope. I don't understand that. Let's see if Alex Atkins changes some of that stuff. Yeah. Here's what I'll tell you. I'm not bringing it up. This will be the only sentence that I have. Joe Sloan, from a passing game standpoint, in South Carolina and Ole Miss, you're right on the deep ball accuracy. The jump that Aaron Anderson makes against Ole Miss that was ruled incomplete, Carter, that is one hell of a catch that he'd have to make. That is massively a late thrown ball. So when it's down the sidelines, it's not that it's always his arm accuracy. It's the timing of things. Carter, timing-wise, I mean, quite frankly, I think a lot of this shit's timing. I could literally pull up at least 100 times where you got to throw the football, and either we got scared in the pocket, they sent pressure because they knew that happy feet would happen, or you should have thrown the ball before the receiver's out of the break, knowing what he was going to run. That is a fact. And if people want me to start pulling that shit up, the South Carolina interception, that is a blatant, you got to throw the opposite side when the route is being broken. You got to know that he's running an in route, and you got to know that he's in man-to-man. You got to know that they're going to play man free on one, they're going to play man on another, and they're backing out zone, and Nick Emenwari is going to sit there. They did it all game. That was like the fourth time that they did it. So Sloan has got to put Garrett in better positions, and Garrett cannot turn the ball over. Y'all can come to me all y'all want to. Turnovers in sports and in football will kill you. That is not on just all on Sloan, but it also is on him because he's not getting it through. He's not getting something through about some of these instances that are happening. So I do think that you could have a playoff caliber defense. I do. Carter, I do not know if you can have a caliber offense. That will be the question.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I think a few of these games can be won ugly. And that's
yes. And you might have to.
And because a lot of LSU's games last year were entertaining as hell. It was chaotic.
Too entertaining. Too entertaining. I don't want that. I want to blow some people out, please. Good Lord.
No. Well, I mean,
that's not happening.
Yeah, they'll have 2 blowout wins versus solid teams. I'm calling it now. They have one last year.
Not going to happen.
Well, no, they had a few, but we'll see.
All right, Carter the Power. Thank you, buddy.
All right, bud.